Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Lo-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Throwing jabs, always full send. Here we go again. Jared, Joe, and Jay's Clover Crest, top three corner man, punching in with a puncher's chance. We find a way to win. The main event, locked it in every Saturday at 10. The overhand is out of hand when it comes to fisticuffs. Slide a hand on the undercard, you'll never see the punch. Uppercut got you missing weight, feet are stepping late. Keep your guard up, feeling faint from a feint. Take a standing eight, then retaliate. Put up your duke, stick and move, bob and weave. Don't lose hope against the ropes, there's always an escape. Never stay down. One more round, bells ringing, counter punch with your chin tucked and go down swinging. We bringing crosses with no worship, hooks with no verses, combinations with no locks. When you feel the flurry, it's curtains. From scrub scraps to fight stats, relax if you want the facts, cause the best combat podcast is throwing jabs.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Throwing Jabs Combat Sports Podcast. I'm Big J, joined by Joe Bryan, Jared Jones, and it's not Saturday morning. Some scheduling issues. We are live tonight, Friday night, but we will rebroadcast it for all you dedicated fans for at Saturday at 10 per usual. But I mean, not a lot as far as big fights this weekend. But we had a big fight last weekend, So let's break them down. Starting off with the main event, Israel Adesanya defends his UFC middleweight title with a unanimous decision over Jared Cannonier. Joe, you and I were talking a little bit about this in the pre-show. Israel Adesanya, he's great. He's one of the best technical strikers in the UFC. But something has changed since that Jan Blachowicz fight.
Yeah, listen, he is the man to beat, but he's not giving anyone a chance to really beat him. His fights have gotten increasingly more boring. The Vettori fight, the Whitaker fight, this another snooze fest where he, basically just leaning back and not really engaging much in the pocket. And obviously he's one of the best counter strikers who's ever existed. Seriously, since that beatdown of Paulo Costa, nothing to write home about. Again, I look at Usman and look at the way Usman has gotten more impressive in his wins and has become a better striker. You've seen improvement in his game. Look at Francis Ngannou. I know Jason's still wild about that wrestling that we really haven't seen too much of. But again, Jason, I'll give you credit. You know what he did? He made the strides necessary to make. Look at Alexander the Great. I mean, we talked about it last week, and I said to Jared, I think he's gotten better since the last fight. With Max Holloway. I mean, I don't know Max Holloway could do any more, and it's apparent now after this fight that the distance between them is a little more than we thought. But again, dominant fighters, and you watch Adesanya, and he gets less impressive as you go.
I have to agree with that. There was something really exciting about watching this guy not too long ago. And it just seems to have disappeared a little bit. Where is that Adesanya we were so excited about? And, we're saying on these shows, we reiterate over and over that some people will grow from the experience of a loss. Some people will deteriorate. It looks like he hit his ceiling in his loss, and now he's just coasting. And still a lot better than guys like Jared Cannonier, let's be honest.
Look, bottom line too, Jared, is Jared Cannonier doesn't deserve to be in an octagon with Israel Adesanya. And maybe he's just not feeling very challenged. He stepped up. Light heavyweight's not going to work for him unless he puts on some weight and then has to sacrifice the speed. So maybe he's stuck where he is, and he's not inspired because he's already run through a lot of these guys, and no one thought Jared Cannonier stood a chance, and he didn't. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
Gusto and take chances. At the same time, it's like he's a professional, and in a fight you're supposed to win by that much. Why do you take a lot of chances? You can't win that fight.
Will the Pereira fight be something he's a little more inspired by? A guy with a couple wins over him, a guy who's literally Pereira's made his name on the fact that he knocked Adesanya out. That's straight up like
he's the Savannah Marshall of the UFC.
There you go, right? That's all it is. And so again, I like to think Izzy's going to be super up for that fight. He's going to want to knock that guy out.
It's the only interesting thing left that we can do.
Yes. And so now you can only hope that Pereira knocks him out again so that we can do another one of these fights, and then we'll get Whitaker back in the mix, and we'll get Covington back in the mix, because that's really where this is. And again, in the last fight, look, everybody knows I thought Whitaker beat him. I get it. He's the champ. You got to dethrone the champ. The guy doesn't really give you an opportunity to do that. That said, I do, like I said, I feel like when you're just kind of beating on the same guys and you feel like no one's in your galaxy, it's hard to get up for these things. It's hard to, he doesn't have to do much. I think a lot about Anderson Silva. And towards the end of his run, he was more playing around, right? Really fooling around a lot. Obviously, right, Maya, we know how it ended with Weidman and just, I worry about Adesanya from that aspect. If he's not particularly interested in what he's doing, at some point, somebody, and it's not any of the guys in the top 5, clearly, but someone's going to ring his bell.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like the big thing with Usman coming up was Dana White said himself, this guy's boring, blah, blah, blah. And now he's starting to finish guys. And now there was this crossroads where everything changed, because that was Adesanya. And I don't know. Yeah, I think it comes from that Blachowicz loss, which, I mean, it doesn't make sense because you were up. You were up a weight class, didn't put weight on. So I don't understand why. Sure, you can be defeated. You know that from your kickboxing career. I don't know why all of a sudden changed, like with that one loss. So sure, if he wants to sit back, do his thing, that's great. Maybe it is. If it is like a determination, or he's not getting up and it's hard to get up, you need to change the people around you. You shouldn't. When they have to not getting up for a fight.
Well, I mean, that
going through the motion.
I'm reminded of keeping John Jones out of Vegas here, though. At some point, these guys are professionals and have to act like professionals. It's something Scully's always said about Beterbiev. He doesn't need anybody to tell him to work hard, to show up, to get there early, to leave late. You want to be that guy, you got to act like that guy, and he does day in, day out, consummate professional. If you need help getting motivated for a UFC title fight, then you shouldn't be holding the belt. And that's kind of what it looks like here. But he's heads and shoulders above everybody else. And Joe, that is a great comparison. Anderson Silva, and get into those fights where he's just bored. I just knocked out Forrest Griffin with all highlight reel stuff, couple fights in a row, and now I'm kind of bored. And people are booing a guy that was the most exciting guy we'd ever seen fight. Just a few fights later. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the loss got to his head. That said, he was dominant. I've been in some boring fights myself before. And a lot of times when fights turn boring for me, it's because I don't feel like I can win them. I feel like a big, exciting knockout. I fought my little brother Joel a couple times. So how do you win that fight? Oh, did Jared fight? Yeah, he beat his little brother. It's a lose-lose situation. Oh, he lost to his little brother. Well, now there's something to talk about. I can't win that fight. And that's why he wanted to fight me every time, because it's a win-win situation for him if he doesn't, end up in the hospital. Oh, I lost to my big brother. Oh, you fought Jared.
Yeah, but back to this, I will say, with Adesanya, to his defense a little bit, like Jared Cannonier is a guy, we talked about it last week. This is a guy you can't really, you don't want to put yourself in those bad situations because he does have that power.
And you're not allowed to lose to him here. Izzy was not allowed to lose this fight by any stretch.
But I will say, as far as this fight goes, the most interesting part of it, as far as the Adesanya goes, was his entrance. Shout out to the Undertaker.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. But Jared, you talking about boos? A man who continuously gets booed against every fight. He talked about it in his post-fight press conference. Alexander the Great Volkanovski said he's sick and tired of getting booed. I mean, it's Max Holloway.
Stop fighting Max Holloway. Yeah. You won't get booed so much.
Yeah. But Joe, your boy, dominant, puts it to rest, no more. Just unanimous decision, 50-45, all around. Where does he go from here?
Well, he is seriously thinking about moving up. He, I don't know if you guys saw earlier today, he said he broke his hand in the second round of that fight. Still, obviously, was dominant nonetheless. Who's next? Really? Josh Emmett? Who gets the next shot? I think that's the problem that you're looking at right now is, there's nobody in this division that he hasn't either already beaten or is very likely to beat.
I want Bryce Mitchell here.
You keep saying that.
I want Bryce Mitchell here.
Yeah. Bryce Mitchell currently ranked number 9 in that featherweight division. Listen, I don't think it. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah. I don't know that anybody can beat this guy.
Chagadze stylistically maybe is a tough matchup. Barbosa's always dangerous. But
listen, there's certainly. I will say this, the difference between, I think, where Adesanya's living right now and where Volkanovski is that great fight with Ortega, great fight against Korean Zombie. He's had some really good fights. Obviously, some battles with Max Holloway. They're very competitive. They're very interesting fights. He's clearly better than everybody else. But not to the point where it's not fun to watch. And I don't know that anybody can beat this guy. You can't choke him out because he's got an unbelievable ability to withstand not breathing. He's got an iron jaw. He's got some of the best hands in the sport. I mean, it's takedown defense. This guy is such the total package And believe me, again, I love Max Holloway. I think is a gift to the world. I love that guy. And he'll always be in the conversation of greatest featherweight. But this was clearly it. This was the unnecessary trilogy. And I mean, short of like knocking him out cold, which no one's knocking Max Holloway out, this was the next best thing.
Yeah, but Jared, you mean you're with me with the Bryce Mitchell? I love Bryce Mitchell, but it's that fight's just going to be fun. Do I actually think Bryce Mitchell can get it done? No, but it's going to be a fun. It's going to be like this. It's going to be like the first two with the Max Holloway. It's going to be very, very fun, entertaining to watch. But
if he's staying at this weight class, it's the only one I want to see.
Yeah.
If you move up, oh man, I want to see Oliveira, Poirier. Give me Justin Gaethje's a great fight. Makhachev and Dariush would be trouble for him. Chandler, Dos Anjos, Tony Ferguson. Go ahead and be a rough. Get on the list of guys that rough Tony Ferguson up on you as you move up the weight class. But yeah, Volkanovski, you got to come up. Because, again, Bryce Mitchell, there's the type of fight he can't win. You know, you lose and everybody's shocked, and then you get a rematch, and it's redundant. Yeah, go to lightweight.
Oh, yeah.
I am concerned about the height, though. He's going to be giving up some serious reach in that division, and that's got to be. And I mean, he could carry the weight. I'm not worried about him moving up. 5'6", though.
Two words, Tony Yoka. 2 more words, bone density. This is a bigger guy than a featherweight.
Yeah.
Volkanovski's that frame will hold weight. There's some rugby clips you put on last week that'll prove it.
Oh, sure. Listen, there's guys in that division that are, 5'10", 6'3", and I just feel like that could be a little problematic. Again, I'm not worried about the weight. Jared, I agree. I mean, I know he could carry the weight, and I think he'd be fine. Yeah, Oliveira's 5'11", with about 7-inch reach on him. That's substantial. And again, I mean, knowing the way Volkanovski likes to fight, he's coming at you. He's not afraid of anybody, but that's a lot to be given up. And that's my only concern for him. But he's expressed interest in doing it. So who am I?
Oliveira, jeez, that's huge. Just out of curiosity, how tall is Max Holloway? Oh, right here. Charles Oliveira, 5'10", Max Holloway, 5'11". So maybe he's okay dealing with the height.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him coming up.
Sure. Listen, I'm again, it's my only hesitation with him. There's nothing otherwise that I would think like, no, he can't. He's got the power. He's got the all-around skills. He's got the defense. No problem with him moving up. Again, I don't love that he's 5'6". I do think that, again, not that he hasn't already fought bigger guys, but, you're talking weight, you're talking height, you're talking reach. You're giving up a little bit here. But if anybody can do it, it's him.
If you're not on the Bryce Mitchell train, though, who else do you want him to see? Who do you want to see him fight at that weight class? There's nothing else there for him. You want to see that Emmett fight? Tony's okay without it.
All right. I will say also with Volkanovski, his utilization of the leg kicks, I think with that, you can make up for some height and length issues with that.
Solid. Yeah, you're right.
So I think that will be he'll do good. He'll do good. We need to see it. We need to see it. Enough's enough. I don't want to – the Bum of the Month Club, it's great. You're out for 3 months now with that injury. So you got some time to prep. Get ready. The Bum of the Month Club thing isn't going to work anymore because he was on pace to have like 4 or 5 fights this year at that point. So slow it down. Get ready. Come up to lightweight. And boy, oh boy. When he's fighting a Dustin Poirier, a Justin Gaethje, and you beat guys like that, you're gonna win some fans off that. People aren't gonna be booing anymore after those fights. But, Yeah.
So I guess for him, if he doesn't move up, and if Bryce Mitchell doesn't get the next shot, I had to verify, but Emmett moves up to the 3 spot. Yair Rodriguez seems like a guy who he's going to beat on. A fun fight, one I think will be entertaining, and again, one that I think he easily wins. So, do I want to see him fight Yair Rodriguez or Josh Emmett or Bryce Mitchell or move up? I would say, yeah, move up.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. That's exciting.
Rodriguez also has to beat Brian Ortega next week first.
Yeah.
I got to mention Brian Ortega. So.
Yeah, your boy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can go round 2 there too, I guess. Another hair bet, but no, yeah, nothing's exciting for Volkanovski here. And also, I mean, leaving the division, I think would also be best for the division. Have one of these Bryce Mitchells, Josh Emmett, one of these other guys build a little bit of their name for themselves, or even if it's Max Holloway getting back to the top, everyone loves Max Holloway, so. I think that would be beneficial for not just the UFC, not just Alexander Volkanovski, but that division as a whole.
Well, as good as Max Holloway is too, you'd be leaving the division in mighty fine hands again against guys who, would be. It'd still be a great division with very competitive fights.
Yeah, and the door, if someone does build up their name, the door to come back is always open.
Yeah.
So, all right. But, all right, that's going to do it for last week's fights. Not a lot of – we got one UFC fight night. We'll get to that. But first, we got a fun little who you got. But before that, here's a word from one of our sponsors.
There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All right, big shout out to Shamrock Home Inspection for sponsoring today's episode. But all right, who you got? Championship material. We're going to go through every weight class across UFC and boxing. And we're going to – is the champion deserving? Is someone else the best in that division? We're going to discuss it. We're going to start off with the UFC, starting off with the little guys. This is going to be probably, as far as the UFC goes, one of the most debated, I guess, with the flyweights. Davidson Figueiredo. Brandon Moreno now interim champ, right? Or he's going to be with Kai Kara-France. Who is the best flyweight in the UFC, Joe?
Well, I'm going to say it's Figueiredo. I like Figueiredo a little bit more than Moreno, and he did win the last fight. And obviously, the interim championship is what it is. So maybe we'll get another fight between these guys in a unification, maybe end of this year or the beginning of next year. I don't have any problem with Davidson Figueiredo being the champ and being the face of that division because, again, I think you look at the rest of that top 5 list. He's beaten some guys in there, and I feel good about him. Plus, he's a flashy guy. He looks more like a champion than the baby-faced assassin.
Yeah. Jared, I know you love Figueiredo, so
100%. That's my guy at flyweight. 100% Figueiredo.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I like Moreno a lot. I will say when he won the belt, I think I really like seeing his growth. He won the belt with that tap out. Everyone thought that he was really like a one-trick pony. Everyone thought that it was just going to be the ground game that would win him. That comes back, defends it on the feet for the most part. So I like the growth there. I think he can maybe show something against Kai Kara from France, maybe get the belt back. But as of right now, yeah, Figueiredo is definitely number one as far as flyweights go. This one could be a little controversial as well. Bantamweights, Aljamain Sterling. Is he the rightful champ, Joe?
No, I still don't think so. It's funny. I think if you look at all of the champions in this sport, he and Carla Esparza stand out to me as people who didn't really do it for me. They didn't really prove to the fans that they were the champions, and haven't really handled the aftermath of that well either. So
if you're a young fighter with weight fluctuations and you're aiming for a weight class, those are the two. I'm with you, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, for bantamweights, I'm still a Peter Yan guy.
Wow, and Joe's 2 for 2. Okay. Peter Yan.
No TJ Dillashaw?
No. No, but you know what's interesting? That Jose Aldo still sits number 3 in that division. Yeah. And I think it speaks to the fact that there's a lot of good guys in that division. Sean O'Malley's ranked 13th. There's a lot of good guys in that division, but it's the veterans like Aldo and Jan and Rob Font and Dominic Cruz that really dominates that top 10. And so you got to ask yourself, what's up with these young bucks?
Yeah, you are right about that. I've been an Aljo guy. I think I picked him like the last 2 fights, maybe not the last one. But yeah, someone's just I don't know. I'm just
honorable mention to Nurmagomedov too. O'Malley's good, but Nurmagomedov fights at bantamweight too, 15-0.
Yeah. O'Malley. I mean, that's supposed to be like his real big test that last week, but that was rough. That was a rough way to end it. But
no such luck.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to see what he's really made of. His next fight, I mean, Chito Vera, number 5 there. That's who he lost to. So he's another guy. I think he can. Marlon Vera, I think, can get into this little title hunt here. I think he's a guy that can maybe hold on to the belt, especially with a champion like Aljamain Sterling, who I don't see him holding on it that long. But that's what we said when he first won it. So we'll see.
Touchable champ. Yep.
Yeah. And
well, I mean, it seems like this belt goes through Vera anyway. You gotta beat Vera to be a contender in the bantamweight division. It seems like.
Honestly, yeah, you really do. But all right, featherweight. We just talked about it. Alexander Volkanovski, easy.
It's got to sweep that.
Easy. All right, lightweight. Technically vacant after Charles Oliveira missed weight in his last fight. But who's the number 1 guy? Is it Oliveira?
Jared, I hate that. I mean, I don't like him. You know I don't like him. But skill set wise, he certainly is. What he did to Gaethje, what he did to Poirier, what he did to Michael Chandler, that's everybody. Makhachev, I think, is the fight I'd like to see. But if he beats him, then what? I have nothing to counter with. I have nothing else to say about this other than bring back Khabib. Let's see what happens. Because yeah, man, I don't like him too. He's become an unlikable champion for some reason. He was a likable guy when he was a loser, when he was tapping with the Brazilian jiu-jitsu every time he got choked. Becomes this great champion, is on this great winning streak, and I find him to be very unlikable.
But when you go through the story, it's a bit James Braddock, Mickey Ward-ish. It just never lined up right. And then when it did, whoa, this guy's really, really, really good. And 3 for 3, Joe. I got to say, Oliveira, with how little he missed weight by, you got to think he could make it. And just so dominant. Just to be that dominant at the type of division. He's given us what we're asking for from Izzy. So we can't want that from Izzy and then drop down 2 weight classes and get it. And not name, Charles Oliveira, period.
Yeah, to me, the only one that could really, like, Islam, I guess, but not. I don't really think so. I think I still need to see him against one of those big names there. Or, I mean, him getting a title shot, I think, would be great, I think.
Beat Oliveira and then claim.
Yeah. But, or, I mean, the only other guy that I think is close was Dustin Poirier, and Oliveira took care of that. So, yeah, I think you got to go Oliveira here. But, I mean, this division's stacked. I mean, we'll talk about this division a little bit later on with the UFC Fight Night tomorrow. But just a little.
You know, I'm curious why Conor McGregor's got the 12th rank in this division for absolutely no reason at all.
Because he's Conor McGregor.
Same reason Pereira jumped up to 6 from 40-something. Right? Because it helps.
Yeah, it certainly does.
All right. Another, I think, division easy. Welterweight, Kamaru Usman.
Yeah, it's an easy one. He's a dominant champion. He's improving. I find he's gotten to be more likable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I love everything about Kamaru Usman. I think he's a great face for this division, and he's, as dominant a champion as there is right now.
That's 5 in a row. Yeah, Usman, too. I want to see Bilal Muhammad, Chimaev, maybe. Khabib.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Usman. This is another not really hard to tell. It's Usman.
Yeah, I'm glad the Leon Edward fight is happening, just because I think that's a name I think that just needs to get brought down a peg. Yeah, I don't know. He keeps getting brought up every time. Well, and he hasn't really done anything that spectacular except beat Usman early in his career. But hey, people have grown, and we've seen how Kamaru Usman's grown. So, all right, talked about Israel Adesanya. Yeah, I mean, even though he has become more unlikable, but I mean, like you talked about, Joe, with Oliveira, there's still a gap.
Again, the difference, though, is I don't like Oliveira. His fights are exciting as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want the other guy to win, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he's beating the crap out of him, choking these guys out in spectacular ways. To me, that's the difference between what he's doing and what Adesanya's doing. Adesanya is boring, but again, I'm not going to.
I know a lot of great guys that can't fight, Joe.
Yeah. He's a great champion. We know how good he is. It's going to take somebody who's a better striker than him to beat him. And I don't know if a person on this planet exists that we are even aware of at this point that can do that.
It's tough in his weight class.
Yeah, until there comes a time where, I mean, he's beaten everybody in the top 5. Pereira jumped ahead of Strickland. He's 6. Strickland is 7 because it's the only guy he hadn't beaten. And since he beat, Pereira beat Strickland, I'll put him up ahead, and that'll be the next fight. And after he beats Pereira, maybe Strickland gets a shot at it. I don't know.
Yeah. But Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do think there is another avenue. I think if someone like Usman comes up with his wrestling ability and ability to actually do damage to someone while they're on the ground, unlike Vettori, I think that's another avenue that Israel Adesanya can lose. I mean, like we saw it in the Blachowicz fight. But, I mean, there's not that many wrestlers at the top of this division, which is good for Adesanya. Yeah, and yeah, one of these guys is going to have to get in and land something on the greatest striker in MMA right now. So that's really hard to do, obviously. But all right. I will say, I mean, the best guys are fighting the best guys in the UFC. That's why we're all agreeing here. I do
Wait
think
till we get to boxing. Yeah.
Till we get to boxing. Yeah. All
Straight
right.
up.
Light heavyweight, Yuri Prohaska. Is he the guy?
Yes.
He's definitely the guy right now, but I'll say this, again, as you flip through this list, the separation in talent 1 to say 13, it's not that far off. You know what I mean? I think when you're looking at Adesanya and Usman and Volkanovski, you're talking about guys that are on another level. Prohaska's I think he's got some of the what made Adesanya great when he was younger, where he could do things and hit you with things you don't see coming from angles you couldn't even imagine coming at you. So he's got that. He's got youth and speed on his size. He's the guy for right now. Jared, we've talked about it. We think this guy could go on a really nice run, but if he loses his next fight to Alexander Rakic, I wouldn't be shocked because I don't see right now the talent level being that far removed. We've seen quite a few of these guys now hold this belt in this division. No one's really seized it since Bones left. This kid's got a real shot. Again, there's everything to like about Yuri Prohaska, from his spirituality to his the outstanding skill set. We're going to need to see some really good title defenses against some big names before we could cement it. But I like everything about him, Jared. I know you do too.
No,
yes, maybe you don't.
Not everything. Not everything. I don't like one thing that I've seen so far. And I'm going to say when we talk about the greatest fighters of all time, the Silva defensive wizard with his head movement, the Alis and the Mayweathers, the Willie Peps, these are defensive masterminds. Go to the very top of the game. And then give me those Arturo Gattis, Justin Gaethjes. Give me those blood and guts warriors because give me one on both lists. I don't like the mileage he put on his body in the last fight with Glover Teixeira. We want that upper echelon longevity guy. We saw it in the early stages with this guy. If you have 3 or 4 fights like that, that is not what we are going to get because the guys that do that find a way to put less miles on themselves per fight. Most of the great ones, didn't have fights like that.
It's funny. I don't mean to skip back a couple divisions, but in the welterweight division, you guys know I like Michel Pereira. This is a guy who,
shows man crush.
Yeah, totally, dude. But this is a guy who can get gassed after the first round. Not because he doesn't have great cardio, but because of all the insanity of what he does, the relentlessness, takes a lot of hits. Again, at the welterweight division, that doesn't work. And that's why Pereira's career hasn't really jump-started where it needs to be in that lightweight division because of the speed. He's able to get away with a lot of that stuff, I feel like, there. Where I don't know if he would have in the lesser divisions, because again, none of these lightweights have the speed or the movement that Prohaska has. It's a lot like in that heavyweight division with Cyril Gane, where it's like for the size and that speed, it's like unheard of in that division. It's a great skill set to have, but yeah, you can't get into wars every fight and think you're going to hold the belt for, 10 fights, 12 fights. No way.
Yeah. But I will say, before we move on from light heavyweight, yeah, Prohaska, I think, is the rightful champion. But for him to really, really prove himself, I need to see the Jan fight. Because, I mean, yeah, Jan lost to Glover, but I think as far as, like, the best in that division goes, I think it is still Jan Blachowicz, even with that loss. So yeah, I think that's a fight I need to see for Prohaska to really cement his spot there at the top. But yeah, I mean, he is champion. He beat the guy who beat the guy,
I thought of that, though. Blachowicz versus Prohaska, you might end up with a rock, paper, scissors situation there at the top.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. It's interesting.
That's fun, but it's Prohaska's right now. It's his to lose.
Yeah, we talked about it with this fight. He's young enough to have one of these. A person like Macy Barber, Jared, like who you were talking about all last week, able to go retool. You have the world by the balls, and then you struggle there. Now, Prohaska, he struggled, but he still won. So now if he can go back, retool, come up with a new game plan, he can be a very, very dominant, especially at the top. He can be going for pound.
Thank you for the Macy Barber reference there. She hit the puncher's. She hit the last leg of the puncher's chance parlay, and looked dominant. Did everything I said. Went back to the drawing board, young enough to make the adjustments and cover the gap. So let's hope we get that here.
Yeah. But all right, moving on to heavyweight. Francis Ngannou. I love Francis. Number one, easy. John Jones? No?
No, Stipe Miocic here, clearly. It's so weird. I'm joking, just because, we haven't seen Stipe
Logan Paul
to Ngannou. And there was an interim heavyweight championship that he wasn't involved in. And then there was a unification bout that he had nothing to do with. And then there was the John Jones fight that he was told he was getting. John's not even ranked in the division anywhere. And so I don't know what is to be of Stipe Miocic. I do know this, with him out of the just not fighting period at this point. Yeah. I mean, Francis Ngannou, after beating Cyril Gane, has clearly, again, when you talk about the improvements in this guy was awful on his back earlier in his career. I mean, embarrassingly bad, and has worked to become a more well-rounded champion, and is still the most dangerous person on the planet, because him hitting you in the face at all, the possibility of you going to sleep is extremely real.
He could hit you on the top of your head and break your ankle. This guy,
that's a scary, scary dude. So yeah, I hope he gets things worked out with the UFC here, because that would be a big loss.
I made the only argument you could possibly make against this, and I made it years ago when we started the show, Cyril Gane. I still make the argument that he's 4 years and change younger. 35, Ngannou is no spring chicken, and if you're looking for the future on that list, it's still Cyril Gane. But right now, Joe, circle gets a square, Francis Ngannou.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's got to be Francis. And the way the UFC pushed Francis, especially early, come on, get a deal done. He's your guy. You finally have the opportunity that you wanted before the Stipe fight. You got him with the gold. You got him at the top, the baddest man on earth. So give the man what he wants, and let's get the heavyweight division rolling here. Because, I mean, new wrestling. Ngannou, I want to see Stipe again. I want to see there's some fun fights, I think. And Tai Tuivasa, guy he's third now. I think that's a fun fight. It's going to end with him going to sleep. But
don't sleep on Aspinall either.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's some
Live guy.
There's some stuff that happened there at the top of heavyweight. So, all right. Now let's get on to the women's side of the MMA. Starting off with the one of the most controversial ones again, Carla Esparza. Joe, is she?
No, this is Thug Rose's division, and everybody feels that way, I think. Carla Esparza does not inspire anybody. I still think she looks like your girl's best friend that you hate. To me, this is still Rose's division.
The one on the other end of the phone that can never get her own relationship right, but wants to tell your face she's been in 19 relationships while you've been with your girl, but she's gonna tell your girl how she how is she done? Look, Carla Esparza doesn't look like that girl.
That's exactly who she is. Yeah,
this guy's crazy. It's always the guy divorced 3 times that wants you to give marriage advice. It's just out of control. Okay. So we all love Carla Esparza. At the end of this, what we're really trying to say. Everybody's a huge fan of Carla Esparza.
Yeah, terrible fluke fight. I don't even know how she got that fight. I don't even know how it happened. You know, I don't know how it even happened. I really don't. And her credit, Rose didn't feel like fighting much that night, and she's the champion. But yeah, it's very Aljamain Sterling to me. It's like, just hold on to that belt. I'll be back for it, you clown.
Yeah, agreed. I do want to say that I thought I had it 3-2. There's a girl I like here, Marina Rodriguez. Very, very good boxer. 16-1, I think. And the loss is the current champ, Carla Esparza, split decision. As I said, I thought she won 3-2. All of that said, again, I'm with Joe. This is Rose Namajunas division. Just a fluke night where I actually have a fight like that. I'll send you guys a video. I have a fight like that. It went 5 rounds. It was very, very close. I thought I won. But we just painted the floor. So the footing was a touch different, and I was just really, really tentative. And everybody watching the fight was like, why is he not? He's like not fighting like he fights. And there was just this something else going on. This Charles Oliveira, Mickey Ward type thing. You would never know. Rose Namajunas, perhaps. Get your family out of your corner and go grab your belt back, girl. Yeah, Thug Rose.
I love Thug Rose, and I'm with you guys here. But I think not necessarily Weili, because she had the 2 losses to Rose. That's, I think, done and over with. But Jessica Andrade, I think you could make an argument here. The 1 loss to Weili, then a split decision loss to Rose after already beating her. Then tries to go up a weight class. I think coming down, she can, especially with Carla Esparza at the top, I think Andrade can get there and possibly be one of the dominant chances.
Yeah, I wouldn't care for that.
No.
If I'm being honest, I wouldn't care for that.
Yeah, I don't want to either. I like Thug Rose, but I can see it happening.
Well, we're talking about championship material. Like, you got
9
the full
losses.
package. It's just Andrade doesn't strike me as someone who's worthy of the gold. She's fight for it.
Definitely going to win every other fight from here on out.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, and well, to be fair, 500 over the last 8. Lost 4 of the last 7. Yeah, there's I get it. I get what you're saying. Close fight, split decision with Namajunas. And then moved up to lose those other fights. She comes back down. She's dangerous. Agreed. One of the only people I really saw dominate Tisha Torres besides Marina Rodriguez. You can make an argument those are the only 2 fights Tisha lost. So yeah, very talented. But I'm with Joe again. She doesn't belong in this conversation.
All right.
With 9 losses.
And I'll be honest, you could just skip the women's flyweight division because Valentina Shevchenko is, first of all, has beaten everybody on that list. I think except for
Santos.
Didn't she just beat Santos? That's funny.
Did she now?
Yeah. You know, I needed to think on it, but she definitely did.
3-2 Santos. And Macy Barber's here. Honorable mention. No, we can't.
I love
again,
Macy Barber.
Yeah,
Jared. Yeah, right now Macy Barber would get murdered by Shevchenko, but I love her, and I thought she fought really well the other night. I was very impressed with Macy Barber, and I really do. I'm excited for her. And again, having Uriah Faber in your corner is always going to be a good thing.
And 12 years from now, she'll turn Francis Ngannou's age. And she'll be a much smaller person and still do. Yeah, dude, we're going to get a decade and a half of this. I mean, assuming she stays in the game.
She is, not only is she very attractive, she is a bulldog. I mean, her toughness, to me, is more attractive than her attractiveness.
The most attractive bulldog you've ever seen.
Oh my God. Yeah. But I mean, I think she's got a chance to be definitely a future champion in this sport, but this division right now, it's Shevchenko and Talia Santos is welcome to come back and try it again. I don't think she'll do any better than she did in this fight.
Yeah.
Valentina Shevchenko, first of all, isn't the kind of person that if they fight again, that any of those things Santos did in the first fight are going to work in the second fight. And she proved that against Amanda Nunes, who she definitely beat in the second fight, talking about close second fights. But, Shevchenko's just, to me, next level. And right now is the best female fighter on the planet.
Santos Andrade is exciting. But
that would be cool.
The answer to this is Shevchenko.
All right. Let's wrap up the UFC. Women's bantamweight, Juliana Pena. Joe?
No, it's Amanda Nunes. That was one of those where immediately after the fight, it was like, you guys got to do it again. There was no doubt about it. You know, it's like the Eminem song, do it one time, they doubt you, right? Do it 2 times. Or do it once, it's luck. Twice, they still doubt. You got to do it 3 times. And so I don't think anybody thinks Juliana Pena is going to beat Amanda Nunes a second time. I don't see that happening. I think Nunes gets this belt back in a big way. And I don't think it's going to be close.
For me, the question wording comes into play here. What do they have to do? Do they deserve their belt? If not, what do they have to do to change your opinion? So does she deserve her belt? Pena? Yeah, I guess she's earned it. Rightfully, again, I'm with Joe and Nunes being the rightful owner of this belt. What do they have to do? If our girl can make weight down there, Kayla Harrison. That's what I want to see the biggest, best UFC female fighter do to cement that top spot here. It's exactly why the LFA paid Kayla Harrison all that money for things like this. So we'd sit here at the Throwing Jabs podcast and argue that maybe the best fighter at this size isn't in the UFC at all. I like Kayla Harrison as the best, biggest weight class female. If she can make UFC bantamweight, she wins those fights, I think.
All right. I think this is a similar situation to light heavyweight. Where like, yeah, you beat the person, you beat the guy, you beat the guy. So sure, you can have it, but like if you look at Pena's resume, all the losses to people under her, is she really the rightful person, you know? So I don't even know. Not Amanda Nunes, I guess, but yeah, I think this is some. Ever since that big moment, it's slowed down the whole division. So I think we need to see something go here. I mean, honestly, is Holly Holm that far off from Juliana Pena? No, not really.
Well, so right again, what does she have to do? Go out there and beat Amanda Nunes definitively, and then yeah, I'm in. That's what you have to do. You have to go out there and you have to prove that it wasn't a fluke. Nobody believed her.
You never got the Rousey fight. What are your you want to rest your hat on Kat Zingano, Jessica Ai, Sarah McMahon as your next three best? You lost to Shevchenko, lost to Randami, beat Nunes. That's her fight. That's her claim right there. She's the Alex Pereira. It's just in live time. This is keep that belt warm. That's what you do. And yeah, either one of them. Am I onto anything here? Have you seen this Kayla Harrison girl fight, Joe? Do you believe she's as good as Pena and Nunes?
Yeah, again, let's get him into a ring and let's see what's going on. I don't understand why these things aren't happening or haven't been made to happen. I really don't understand that.
Well, I mean, bringing in Kayla Harrison, it's a great but she's 155. We're talking 135. I mean, you'd have to have a whole cyborg situation where you bring in a whole new weight class.
Catch weight 145. What's the difference?
Okay, I mean, you have that weight class, but look at what happened with women's featherweight. It's not a division. You brought it in for cyborg, and now
it doesn't have to be a division. Just make it a catch weight fight and go at it. You want to have Ronda Rousey show up and give away some stupid made up belt? Do that too. That's fine.
Look at that now, and it would shock you the size of some of the heavyweights back in the day. Some of the size of these guys. How big the guys, I say Willie Pep all the time, how big some of the guys he fought were. There's at some point, at some level, you don't care about that. It's what you have to respect about Adesanya going up to fight Blachowicz.
Yeah.
You know, you have to respect that. And if I Pena and I beat Nunes, I want that fight. I want that fight.
I mean, when else is she going to get that fight? I mean, you fight Nunes again, most people think you're going to lose. You're at the okay, I get what you're saying. We in my notes I said rapid fire. This obviously wasn't rapid fire, but I mean, it's good discussion. So
dude, this was brilliant. This was brilliant. And yeah, you said rapid fire, and literally I'm just sitting here and I'm like, there's 17 weight classes.
Yeah.
If we spend 4 minutes per, that's it, 4 minutes on each division, it'll be another hour-long show, and we still have more stuff to do.
Yeah, you're right. But all right, so stay tuned next week. Championship material part 2. We're going through all boxing's weight classes. Who is the rightful champion at each one? So, but I mean, yeah, I thought UFC was going to be. I mean, we still had a great discussion, but I mean, we were right. When the best fight the best, it's a lot easier to crown champions. We had like three divisions with just questions, but we still agreed on most. So that's something boxing needs to learn from UFC. But
real quick, as I'm perusing, I'm of the 17. I want to say I've got 9 of them that I bet Jared and I won't agree on.
Yeah, maybe
we will, Jared. But I think there is the possibility I'm gonna like one boxer. I feel like with boxing, you've just got a different, obviously from your experience, different knowledge than I do. We tend to not necessarily like the same guys in boxing, and I think that's going to show up next week. I think you're going to see the difference in what we look for in boxers. I mean, you're a boxer, so I take your word for it over mine.
Well,
but
and the problem with boxing, I'm just a teaser. We're going to start at flyweight probably because it's a bunch of names you won't recognize at those minimums. So you start at flyweight, and there's 4 undefeated fighters. And then the next 11 guys have all lost to one of those 4 fighters. Why are you all 4 undefeated? And that's more the reason you're not going to find that in the UFC. So as much as the differing perspectives, I think it's just the way boxing is that you can make those arguments at the top because they're all undefeated.
Right. Tune in next Saturday at 10 for part 2 championship material.
I think the most insane part of all this is, right, the heavyweight championship of the world right now. You say the heavyweight champion of the world, and everyone immediately thinks of Tyson Fury, and yet Alexander Usyk's got almost all the belts.
Yeah.
What? Right? Like, and again, that's why I'm saying, Bivol and Better Biev, and there's quite a few of these where it's not as cut and dry as I think it's going to be. Maybe Jared and I agree on all of them. I got you to smile on that one, but yeah, there's some that I think this is going to be. I think we're going to need an hour for the boxing next week as well, is I guess what I'm getting at, because I think there's going to be some serious discussion.
100%.
And Tony, I know you're still watching. We're going to need to have a conference this week. We're going to have to talk about some of this stuff.
Yeah, but all right, that was fun. Stay tuned next week, part 2, where we go over all the boxing champions. But all right, let's take a break, regroup, and then we got the battle of the Raphaels in the UFC fight night. So stay tuned after this.
We can expect another wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you don't have your home serviced for mosquito control and you find you're spending most of your outside time swatting those little pests, or you did have your yard sprayed but you still have bites all over your body, you're in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. All mosquito control service is not the same. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product, one-size-fits-all service program. You can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. The promise has awarded them an industry-leading customer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCNCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade DeCesare and enjoy the rest of the summer mosquito-free.
From the Apex in Las Vegas, it's UFC Fight Night Dos Anjos versus Fiziev, featuring a main event between lightweight contenders Rafael Fiziev and Rafael Dos Anjos. Let's break it down. Rafael Fiziev is 29 years old. He's 5'8" with a 71-inch reach and a record of 11-1 with 7 knockouts and 1 submission. From Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan, he took up martial arts at the age of 11, moving to Phuket, Thailand to train at the famed Tiger Muay Thai gym alongside the likes of Peter Yan and Valentina Shevchenko. After amassing a professional record of 39-8 with 29 knockouts, he made the switch to MMA, making his pro debut in July of 2015 with a first-round flying knee knockout of Sam Baston. After winning his next 5 all by stoppage, he made his UFC debut against Magomed Mustafaev, losing by knockout when he was caught by a spinning back kick followed by ground and pound. He bounced back from that 5 months later, winning a unanimous decision over Alex White, and followed that up with a decision over Mark Diakasi, which earned him his first fight of the night bonus. After signing a new 4-fight contract with the UFC, he took on the dangerous Renato Moicano, knocking him out in the first round with a devastating 3-punch combination, which earned him his first Performance of the Night award. He continued that momentum 8 months later with a dominant victory over Bobby Green. And on December 4th, 2021, he knocked out Brad Riddell with a brutal spinning wheel kick to the head. An elite-level striker, Fiziev has the ability to fluidly switch stances while landing some of the fastest and most powerful kicks in the division at a rate of over 5 strikes per minute, while also boasting a very impressive 95% takedown defense. Rafael dos Anjos is 37 years old. He's 5'8" with a 70-inch reach, with a record of 31-13 with 5 knockouts and 10 submissions. From Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, dos Anjos took up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the age of 9, winning a gold medal at the World Jiu-Jitsu Championships before making his professional MMA debut in September of 2004 with a split decision loss. After compiling a record of 11-2, mostly in his native Brazil, he made his UFC debut with a third-round knockout loss to Jeremy Stevens 2008, and in his next fight, won a fight of the night bonus in a losing effort against Tyson Griffin. He bounced back with a unanimous decision over Rob Emerson and then won 8 of his next 10, including losses to Clay Guida and Gleason Taibo, and victories over George Satterpalulos, Evan Durham, and Donald Cerrone before dropping a unanimous decision to future Hall of Famer Khabib Nurmagomedov. 2 months later, he scored a second-round knockout of Jason Hine that headlined his first UFC event, blowing out Benson Henderson with a flying knee, followed by a brutal left hook. After an impressive victory over Nate Diaz, he got his first title shot when he took on Anthony Pettis, putting on a dominant performance and winning by unanimous decision to become the new lightweight champion. In his first title defense, he knocked out Cowboy Cerrone in 66 seconds with a body kick followed by an onslaught of punches, but in his next defense, he lost the belt after suffering a brutal and prolonged beating from Eddie Alvarez. In his next fight, he put up a valiant, albeit losing, performance against Tony Ferguson, but he was able to bounce back with an impressive triangle choke submission of Neil Magny, followed by a decision over Robbie Lawler. His career then began a downward trend as he only won 1 of his next 5, a submission over Kevin Lee, while losing to Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, and Michael Chiesa. In November of 2020, he returned to his winning ways when he defeated last-minute replacement Paul Felder via split decision in an exciting bout that won both men fight of the night bonuses, and on March 5th, 2022, won a unanimous decision over Renato Moncayo, who took the fight on just 4 days' notice after scheduled opponent Rafael Fiziev was forced to pull out after contracting COVID-19. A highly aggressive pressure fighter, Dos Anjos is an elite-level Muay Thai striker, particularly noted for his powerful body kicks, and is also a world-class grappler, having medaled in several international jiu-jitsu competitions. Will the impressive speed and dynamic striking skills of Fiziev prove the difference as he tries to make a huge statement at lightweight? Or will the world-class wrestling and top-level experience against the elite carry the day as Dos Anjos seeks to prove he still belongs among the best in the division? Tune in Saturday night to UFC Fight Night, Dos Anjos versus Fiziev, and let's find out.
All right, Joe. Will the young, hungry lion knock off the lightweights, former lightweight champion and Rafael Dos Anjos, or will the experience give Dos Anjos the advantage in this crossroads fight? Speechless, huh, Joe?
I am speechless because I got to tell you, I love Dos Anjos. He's a fantastic fighter, but he's just the guy that Fiziev needs. This guy is a really good fighter. He comes into this fight 11-1, 2021 breakout fighter of the year. He's a 3-time Kyrgyzstan Muay Thai champion, a 3-time international Muay Thai champion. He won the World Muay Thai Federation. This guy's a winner. His only loss you just saw was the spinning back kick. It's going to take a lot for anybody to be able to beat this guy. He has lead in his fists and in his feet. He's fast. His defense is outstanding. He's really hard to hit. If you saw any of the Mark Diakasi fight, dude, it's some of that matrix stuff that he was doing in there. He's a really good fighter. I think he is going to blow Dos Anjos out of this thing. I look at the fight with Moicano. Fiziev knocked him out. Dos Anjos beat him by a decision on 4 days' notice. You know what I mean? Like, what else you need to know here? I think this kid, though, Fiziev, has a bright future in this sport.
Oh yeah, Dos Anjos 6-6 in his last 12. He's 8 years older, and Fiziev is just the type of guy we want in this division. I do not want him to lose to Dos Anjos just because of what it means to the game. This, like I said, six losses, 6 wins in his last 12 fights. Mix in a underground submission grappling loss to Cowboy Cerrone, the only thing he's won in the last decade. Yeah, so Fiziev, pretty confident about this one.
Yeah, I'm with you guys, but I do feel like Dos Anjos is weird. Whenever he switches up weight classes, he always finds a way to rattle off a couple here. He's like his whole career is kind of like a roller coaster. But would I be surprised just the experience of just MMA as a whole? I know Fiziev has a lot of Muay Thai experience. Can I see Dos Anjos get him to the ground? Maybe get it done that way? Sure. But I do think Fiziev takes it, goes next. He's the bright spot in the lightweight division, and guy like him against like a Gaethje, I think that's a very fun fight. Some of these fights at the top with some of the guys at the top of the division, I think Fiziev will put some good shows on.
I'll tell you what I think this fight's going to go like. I think Dos Anjos is going to look good for the first 2.5 minutes of the fight. I think Fiziev comes on at the end of the first round, and in the first minute or so of the second, I think he blows Dos Anjos out, and the fight gets stopped. That's where I'm putting my Doskies this week.
So you got round two?
Round 2, yeah. About a minute in, I think he blows him out. This guy's a super aggressive fighter, too. This is going to be one of those where they're standing there feeling each other out. This is going to be two guys coming at each other and absolutely banging. And again, I mean, Jared, you mentioned Dos Anjos 6-6 in his last 12 fights. I mean, there's not a name on that list where you're like, well, although I think his last 2 wins came over guys who took fights on a week's notice. Paul Felder had to drop 30 pounds for the fight and went the distance with him. So that doesn't bode well for Dos Anjos. But, I mean, he's a fantastic fighter. This is a big fight for Fiziev. Let's be honest, because this is a guy who I think has a future. He's got winning pedigree, and he's definitely a guy that could finish fights. And so if he can handle Dos Anjos, it bodes well for his near-term future.
Yeah, this should be the Fiziev coming out party. Dos Anjos, obviously a big name, former lightweight champ. Get that notch under your belt. People will start knowing. I mean, even casuals know Dos Anjos from the small little back and forth he had with Conor before he lost the belt there. So,
I just real quick got to shout out this comment from Tony in reference to Rose Namajunas. He says she should listen to the 2021 Trainer of the Year, speaking obviously of Trevor Whitman, and not the idiot who ran into Czech Congo's fist. That's awesome.
that will forever go down. It's like
I just watched that again a couple nights ago.
Hey, can his nickname be Plop Plop?
Fizz is, yeah, I love it.
Oh, I love it. But yeah,
this guy's really good, dude. I really like this kid.
Yeah.
I watch him go through all those fights. I was like, "Ooh, this guy's gonna be a factor." I think going forward. And obviously, you just got to take care of Dos Anjos first.
Yeah, the fight I want to see him versus Gaethje. That's a fight I really want to see because that's gonna be a brawl and a half. or even like Tony Ferguson. I love Tony Ferguson, but he'll put him to sleep pretty early. But that's still there's so many fun fights, for this kid. So let's see what happens. But all right, I think that's gonna do it for the show today. That was a great week. I'm excited for next week.
We got one more Puncher's Chance, bro.
Oh yes. What we got for the Puncher's Chance?
I just sent it over. There's a UFC fight. I like Jared Vanderaa to beat Chase Sherman.
Oh, Chase Sherman.
And we're piggybacking that on one I want to talk a little bit about in boxing, the featherweight division. As much as I like to talk about Navarrete, Emmanuel Navarrete, he's at the top of the division. He has one loss, kind of a forgivable loss from the beginning of his career. There are two other undefeated guys in the top 33. Two undefeated guys at featherweight in the top 33 on BoxRec. Mark Magsayo, number 2, and number 10, Ray Vargas. And they are fighting each other this weekend. So there will only be one undefeated fighter at featherweight in the top 33 positions on BoxRec at the end of this weekend. Unblemished, not unbeaten, unblemished. There's a few with draws in there. That said, the number 3 guy is one of the best, I think probably the best out there. Gary Allen Russell Jr. took a loss to Magsayo but broke his hand and repeatedly hit Magsayo with his only not broken hand. He hit him with the good hand over and over. He had struggled at the end with an upper echelon guy with one hand. I'm taking Vargas here. I'm taking Ray Vargas, and we're going to piggyback him with Vanderaa. It comes out to about a plus 160, and 40 wins you 77 or something like that. 40 wins you 62, 50, 77. Yeah, so it's about plus 150, plus 160 when you stack the two of them together.
All right. I like that. I feel like all Chase Sherman does in the UFC is lose. But he does put on some pretty good fights. He's a good punching bag, you know. But, so, yeah, I like that. Vanderaa minus 200 as of right now. So, yeah. But that's going to be a fun fight. That'll be a fight that will affect who you got next week in the Vargas. Yeah, so we'll see. But, all right. Big shout out to our sponsors for today's episode. Chris Sawyer and Annie Mac Home Mortgage, Shamrock Home Inspection. I'm sorry for that. And Mosquito Shield. It's summertime. Bugs are coming out. Make sure you get Mosquito Shield. But and big shout out to Clovercrest Media for always sponsoring this episode and making this podcast possible. Make sure you check out clovercrestmedia.com for more information about this podcast and more other great podcasts as well. But that's going to do it for myself, Big Jace, Joe Aguirre, and Jared Jones. Enjoy the fight tomorrow. Enjoy the fights tomorrow. I know a lot of casuals aren't going to know about that boxing fight. But, hey, Dos Anjos, Fiziev, not a lot of casuals are going to know about that. So, tune one of them on, and I guarantee you'll have a fun time watching. But, all right. It's going to do it for Throwing Jabs. We'll catch you back next week, next Saturday at 10. Take care, everyone.
Throwing jabs, always full send. Here we go again. Jared, Joe, and Jay's Clovercrest, top 3 corner man, punching in with a puncher's chance. We find a way to win. The main event, lock it in every Saturday at 10. The overhand is out of hand when it comes to fisticuffs. Slide a hand on the undercard, you'll never see the punch. Uppercut, got you missing weight, feet are stepping late. Keep your guard up, feeling faint from a feint. Take a stand and eight, then retaliate. Put up your duke, stick and move, bob and weave. Don't lose hope against the ropes, there's always an escape. Never stay down. One more round, bells ringing, counter punch with your chin tucked and go down swinging. We bringing crosses with no worship, hooks with no verses, combinations with no locks. When you feel the flurry, it's curtains. From scrub scraps to fight stats, relax if you want the facts, cause the best combat podcast is Throwing Jabs.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Meek, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.